How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at Hack Slash Land of Lost Toys. This is the 5th story collected in Omnibus 1 and is actually a 3-issue miniseries, which is pretty cool. Before this, Hack Slash was a bunch of one-shots, and eventually it would get its own on-running series, as well as several other miniseries to come. But yeah, this is the first time that Hack Slash got more than one issue to tell a story, and they really tell a pretty big, pretty cool story that does a lot of really impressive things. You get this evil little kid character who's obsessed with toys, who, when his parents kill him in his sleep, starts to haunt people's dreams. A really cool double theme there. The idea of a Freddy Krueger-style dream killer is really interesting, and getting to go into the super fun, surreal dream world, that's really great as well. But digging up your old childhood toys, remembering the franchises and things you love, it really does have a powerful sense of nostalgia behind it, and how these two local young adults that just never grew up and how they think and feel about their memories, it is really interesting. We also do get Vlad's origin story in this issue, which is something they had been putting off for quite a bit, but to see those sepia pages, much like Cassie's origin story, it was really cool, and it has some fun stuff behind it. Definitely a highlight of this issue, and other than, you know, just fun, crazy dream world chaos, I will mention the art. The art here is very cartoony, very over the top, and when you get an action sequence, or when you get dream world at the end, I really understand why they chose this art style. But that being said, everything is very big, very over the top, very cartoony, and it's not always going to please everyone, and there are some panels that definitely look a bit off, and when they're just standing and talking, yeah, it's not necessarily the right art for that. Cool for Dream World, and I kind of wish they got like 2 artists to work on this book and saved this current artist just for Dream World. That would be interesting contrast, but whatever. Interesting enough for what it is. Anyway, without further ado, let's switch to the close-up camera. I'll show you guys a bit of the story, a bit of the art. I'll be avoiding major spoilers, including a pretty big thing that happens early on in this issue, but no major spoilers, but let's switch to the close-up camera. Alright, here we are inside the castle, taking a closer look at Hack Slash Land of Lost Toys. Once again, to get this story, we're going to be looking in Omnibus 1, and I do want to say that even though it doesn't list it on the credits page, the back does tell us that Land of Lost Toys was originally a 3-issue miniseries. Anyway, let's open this up to the credits page, and as always, we can see that the writer is Tim Seeley, and there's the Land of Lost Toys credits, penciler Dan Crosland. And yes, he has a very unique style, which makes flipping through the book and finding Land of Lost Toys pretty easy. Let's go ahead and take a look at that cover page, Hack Slash Land of Lost Toys. We get Cassie lying in bed, cuddling a little stuffed animal of a Jason-like figure, which is pretty funny. When we get some toys coming in to get her in her sleep, sets the tone of the story, the 2 themes, very well, and we get to see that there will be legit parodies of actual toys in this story, which are pretty fun. Anyway, after that, let's talk about the story proper. No major spoilers, but let's dig in, but let's not go too close to the end. Anyway, we open up with the girl dreaming about her My Little Pony toys, when suddenly they're going to turn evil. This is definitely a parody that would definitely be more relevant later. I don't think the My Little Pony craze was quite as big as it would get a few years after this, but yeah, no, the girl dies. That's quite violent, killing off such a young character, but it is a story about an evil kid with evil toys. But after that, we do get Cassie and Vlad on a random little adventure. They're going to this graveyard, and we get a little bit about how Cassie had a dream about Justin Timberlake and Brad Pitt. Yeah, kind of setting up the dream motif. But we get to see that this killer was a World War II reenactor that would rise from his grave. I kind of feel like it might be a bit of a reference to the Prowler, and they're getting called back by the lady from the first story, the vet girl, and I do like, she's like, wait a minute, and they just blow this guy up, because if you always rise from the grave on a certain date, they know where you're going to be. So they're getting called into this small town where these two friends reside, and they're nerds living in one of their mother's basements, and we get to see all the toys legally distinct from popular franchises, and we get to see these two friends. And I will say why they both are kind of dorks. I won't spoil what happens, but something does challenge this relationship quite early in the story. It shakes things up and gets them to talk about how their relationship is very much a thing from their childhood and wanting to preserve and keep that forever and, you know, just stay kids and stay happy and friendly and fun. You know, that is something that is really hard to do, but you will get Cassie and Vlad meeting them, and some comedy ensues as she will eventually hear from this main guy the story of this kid named Ashley. And it turns out Ashley was a very bad seed character. He just never came out right and would start to attack other children and not want to share his toys. Eventually, they would find both the kids dead, and the father would kill himself in prison, and the mother would go horribly insane. So a good, creepy backstory, but now when kids are dying in their sleep, they begin to suspect that it's them. Now, again, something happens really early on that definitely disrupts the emotional state of this book. But anyway, we're gonna get Cassie. She will try to figure things out, and I really do like we get a fun sequence where she has to fight the security nurse there in order to get to the mom, who is just complaining about bad dreams, and there's all this artwork around her. It's pretty cool. But while Vlad's watching this one friend, he does talk and ask him about his origin story, and that is definitely one of the highlights of this book, is finally getting the full set-in-stone origin story for Vlad, how there was a butcher who found him in a trash can, and we even get him still reading his comic books as referenced in Comic Book Carnage, but little things that explain, like the butcher was a Czech man and he didn't talk much, and that explains Vlad's accent and lack of vocabulary, but also really cool scenes about how after the butcher dies, he ran around the street at night because he knew no one would, you know, trust him just by looking at him, and he became kind of this legend. So when people started dying, you see how Cassie would assume that the legendary figure was the one killing people, and I do like to see them meet each other in a fuller explanation for this story. It's pretty cool. Now, needless to say, eventually Cassie is going to have to go into Dream World, and I'll show you a little bit, but I won't spoil it too much. But the vet from the first story does come back, and we get to see this is the beginning of her being a reoccurring character, and she'll definitely be in more comics in the future, but eventually she'll put Cassie under, and she is going to, of course, be in school in her underwear, because that's a common trope, again, also a little fan servicey, but she'll also have to fight her childhood toy. I won't go too much farther into Dream World than this. Again, I don't want to spoil much, but I had to give you just a tiny little peek that, yeah, we will be going into Dream World, and lots of really cool stuff happens. I do really like, we spend most of the last issue in Dream World, and the fights, the surrealism, you can see that's why they got this artist, because when you do go into Dream World, it really does fit. But I really love how Cassie figures out what her advantage is in this fight. It really is a cool ending to this story, and overall, Land of Lost Toys is pretty interesting. Getting to see Hack and Slash go across multiple issues and not just a one-shot, getting to see the beginning of reoccurring characters, and overall a fun, unique enemy that's both like toy-based and dream-based. Lots of cool stuff. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my hack slash playlist where hopefully you can find my reviews for all the past entries of the series. Anyway, have a good day. See you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.